Let's see when people join in. You can start.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar organized by BUPCSI on Hacktoberfest 2021, titled My First PR on GitHub. So, before starting this, let me give you a brief introduction what Hacktoberfest is. So, Hacktoberfest, if you can create a free GitHub account and make a few pull requests, then this event is definitely for you. It's a month long virtual festival event to celebrate open source contributions presented by DigitalOcean, Intel, and Dave. It's all about encouraging meaningful contributions to the open source ecosystem for beginners and veterans alike. No more contribution is big or too small. There are many ways you can contribute even without writing a code. Many projects of Hacktoberfest, if a maintainer reports your pull request as a spam, it will not be counted towards your participation in Hacktoberfest. If a maintainer reports behavior that's not in line with your values of Hacktoberfest or the project's core of their conduct, you will be ineligible to participate. There's also a banning system that reviews and bans users with too many flagged PRs. This can result in exclusions from your all future Hacktoberfests. There are a 14-day review window for all pull requests before they count towards completing the challenge. And if the pull requests are not marked as invalid within that window, they will allow the user to complete the Hacktoberfest challenge. And if any of the pull requests are labeled as invalid, the user will return to the pending state until they have 4 eligible pull requests, at which point the review period will start again. A PR counts if submitted during the month of October, submitted in a public repo, and the PR is labeled as Hacktoberfest, accepted by a maintainer, or submitted in repo, labeled as Hacktoberfest, and merged or approved. So what are you waiting for? For registration, you can just sign up in this link by your using GitHub account. This link has been posted in your chat box, and you can keep track of this link by going to your profile section. And coming to today's speaker, we have and is also very proficient with React and loves exploring other areas and topics. I would like to introduce with a big round of applause today's speaker, Shihab. Over to you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Thanks for the wonderful introduction, Vaishnavi. Uh,
Thank you.
so shall I present my screen?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. Well, yep. So hi everyone. It's really amazing to see you all like on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and thanks a lot for taking your time. So as Vaishnavi is mentioning, currently it's October and Hacktoberfest is on. So it is Hacktoberfest 2021. And what not if not open source to talk about during this amazing time. So as she was mentioning, this talk is titled My First PR on GitHub. And so basically what I'm trying to do is upgrading yourself. And I'm an electrical engineering by graduation, and I'm a developer without a CS degree. Currently, I'm part of Denso. So Denso is a hyper-local delivery platform. We are the first Indian startup with direct Google funding, and I closely work with Google Pod. So mainly, my team oversees all the Denso app inside Google Pay for Merchant, and Google Nearby. And previous to Denso, I was with Bounce and Quest. And if you are in Bangalore, or like if you have made a Google food order from Google Maps, then definitely you would have used my code. And yeah, that's it about my. Yeah, like I would love few stars on my GitHub repo if you found my work amazing. I'm there on Twitter, and I have a portfolio too. So feel free to connect. My DMs are open, and like would really love to stay in touch and know you guys better. So yeah, let's further do. Let's get into the talk. So we'll start with an introduction and basically trying to understand what we're going to cover. So this is a talk all about open source, trying to understand how we could start open source contribution. And this is pretty GitHub heavy, I would tell, because everything is revolved around GitHub. But I've tried to keep it really simple and possibly beginner friendly. And you can see this as a 10,000 feet high overview of like how to get started with open source contributions. So this can basically serve as the basics, and later on you can learn things and build on top of it. The entire talk is divided mainly into four. We will start by seeing what is open source and trying to understand what makes a project open source at first place. Then we move on to see why open source actually matters and why is there this whole buzz around it. And next, we will try to see how to start, basically how to start with open source contribution. And lastly, we will try to create an actual PR and get it submitted to a open source repo. And I assume, so actually there are two prerequisites to this talk. I assume you all have a GitHub account and you have at least a basic understanding of Git and a machine that have Git installed. If you don't worry, because I have added links. So later on you can come back to this doc. Anyway, I'm going to share this doc. So you can come back to this doc and get it set up on your own. So no worries on that. So yeah, let's begin. So yeah, let's see what open source projects are. And definitely we would have used open source in one way or the other. And this section is primarily dedicated and understanding, like as I was telling, like what is open source, what makes an open source, what makes the project open source in particular, a structure of an open source project, and lastly I'll try to show around a real world open source example. So what is meant by open source or an open source project? So it's a project that is free to use and basically free to modify and distribute. And all of these things are enforced using licenses. So all of these open source projects will have a freeware license basically. And license is a must and an important to have on a GitHub project, on a open source project. For example, how we are being consumers. So currently I am using Chrome. So Chrome internally uses something called V8, which is a JavaScript engine. I guess you might know. And V8 is actually a open source project from Google. And so this is just one of the example. So knowingly or unknowingly, like we are consuming open source code, projects, softwares, whatever it is, on a day-to-day basis. And since we are trying to see how to start open source contribution, it's really important to understand the structure of an open source project. So first and foremost, the structure going to vary. It need not be the same. So it might be different from project to project. So this will be just a high level overview of open source project structure or an anatomy. And when it comes to contribution, as I was trying to emphasize, it's really important that you understand what are part of an open source project. And by anatomy in particular, what I meant is the kind of people who are involved in the project, the different kind of documents and files that you're going to find. And there are few tools that people use to manage and get things done. And when we try to see the kind of people that are involved in a project, we can actually segregate everybody into 5. So they're going to be the creator, basically the people who have created the project. And there can be owners. So owners are someone who have administrative rights and authority over the project or the software. And there are people so-called maintainers, basically maintaining the project and the ecosystem around it. So by ecosystem, what I meant is there can be dedicated chat, discussion groups, chats. Sometimes they might be organizing events, workshops related to that project. So the people who actually manage this are the maintainers. And in a community or in an open source project, it's like a single person would be handling multiple roles. So a person can be an author, he can be an owner, a maintainer as well. So that is possible. And lastly, and next comes the contributors. So contributors, as the name implies, they are the people who actually contribute to the project. So they would be doing the bug fixes and like code enhancements, so and so. And lastly comes the community members. So this would be the largest among all. basically the consumers of the project, and they also would be contributing back to the project in a bit bigger by like participating in the discussions and like raising issues and so on. So that are the people that are involved in an open source project, like you might find in an open source project. Next, we will see the important files and documents that you can that are part of an open source project. And it's really important. So when it comes to documentation, right, documentation is really important for an open source project because there are at times there are a lot of people. So if we take for instance some open source project as React, there are nearly 1000 active contributors and more than 7 million users, if I'm not wrong. So if you can see, like there are a lot of people that are trying to contribute, consume, and like come into a community and work together. And it's a key to keep everybody in sync. And if I'm a contributor or a consumer, it should be really easy for me as a person to either to contribute or to consume the library at first place. So that's where the documentation comes in. And most of the time, these are markdown files, so which has an extension of .md. So the first and foremost important document, as we were mentioning, is license, and this must have a FOSS license. So FOSS stands for free and open source software, and there are different types of licenses as first place, like MIT, Apache, and Mozilla Public License. Next comes the README. So README is not a mandatory document, but in most of the repos, I guess you're gonna find it. And basically, this explains how to use the project and the steps to be followed when you are a consumer. And it would explain how or would say like how you can consume the project and what the software is trying to solve. In GitHub and GitLab, this page or this particular document is displayed by default. Next comes the contributing ND or the contributing doc. So this is really important, like when as contributors, when we approach a open source repo, this is something that we're going to be referring first because it lays out how actually we can start with contribution. It would have listed like what are the expected contribution and the entire process that is involved around getting a request or change merged. And last comes the code of conduct. So as we were talking through, there are like a lot of people, and that's really important. A lot of people trying to contribute, collaborate on a single project, and there should be well set ground rules, and code of conduct stands for that. So these are basically conventions and rules that to be followed while collaborating and communicating and uh, contributing into a project. Basically trying to keep a decorum with the community, if you want to call it. It usually mentions the standards, the scope, the document applies to, and during an event of a conflict, how it can be resolved. In short, like, yeah, it talks about do's and don't do's in a community and the project. And out of this, there can be few other documents as well. And as I said, among this, license is the only mandatory document that should be part of an open source project. When it comes to contributing and code of conduct, they are also important in a way as that these are the cues that a person might get from a project, like are they welcoming contributions or do they have an active community around it? So that actually you can understand by seeing the contributing doc and the code of conduct. Again, they are not mandatory. And apart from this, there can be tutorials, walkthroughs, and general policies that are applied to this open source project. So that also you might find inside that particular project. And there are certain tools that are actually used on open source to manage things and getting things done. So this include issue trackers. So issue trackers is basically as the name indicates, to track and keep a tab of the issues that are related to the project. There you might find enhancement tickets too. Other are pull requests where actually the changes that are being proposed by these contributors are getting reviewed and discussed. And for bigger projects like React, Angular, and Kubernetes, you might find dedicated discussion groups and channels. These are the tools that you might find in an open source project and within a community. And now let us try to see open source project. So as like you might know, like I'm a front-end developer. I extensively use React, and React is something that I know. So I would love to show around React repository and like how React open source project looks like. And we will try to see what are the different documents that we're gonna find over there and like what are the different tools. So this will be just like a walk around React repository. Give me a moment, actually, I think it's loading. Okay. So yeah, this is the React core repository. And yeah, as I was mentioning, we React have nearly 7.8 million users. So that's the audience of React open source. So that many people actually consume this. So 7.8 million, so give you the magnitude, it is 7.8 times 10 raised to the power of 6. So that many people do actually try to consume React as a project. And over here, you can see the contributors as well. So I think those 1.5K are the active contributors. And from the image, actually, I can recognize, yeah, this is Dan, this is Break, Andrew, Sophie. So these are the people mostly who are active contributors and they are part of core React team of Facebook. Out of them, like there are also a lot of people who are not at all part of this React core library or like Facebook who actively contribute back. And when it comes to the doc, first and foremost, yeah, license. So we can see React is licensed under MIT. And yeah, definitely, yeah, we have a README. So by default, README is displayed over here. And it explains like what is React, how we can use it, and so and so. Since React, yeah, here you have your code of conduct, contributing MD, and out of this we see security MD, change log, and few others. So as I was mentioning, like don't expect all of the docs to exist in every open source repository except license. Few might have code of conduct, few might don't. So that's totally okay too. If you move to the top, we could see issues, pull request, actions wiki, and we will see like what is issues. So issues is basically the issue tracker that I was talking about. And this is a place where most of the thing happens. Suppose as a React consumer, at any point of time, if you would have met with a bug or something, you would have definitely a tape would be taken over here. So like most of the time, these issues are like tagged or mentioned in Stack Overflow or wherever you find. Go for a resolution basically. And issue trackers, basically it shows what are the currently open issues, how much issues are closed, and you have an option to search by name. You can filter by author and label. And since again we are talking about getting started with open source contribution, we should be really handy with label, and in particular something called good first issue. So these are the tickets or the tasks or issues which are highly beginner friendly. And if as we are the beginners, and this is something that we should look for. And most of the what open source projects that are welcoming contributions will have all the beginner friendly issues labeled as good first. And now we will try to see a certain issue in particular. So, yeah, let's see about. So again over here, up a standard, it ensures all the required details are there when we start a new thread or initiate a feature request. And it makes discussions really easy and the entire review process smoother because everybody has the context. That's what they stick to this template. And if you are someone who's actually trying to file an issue or try to file a feature request, it's mandatory that you should stick to this template. If not, there are chances your request might not get accepted at first place. Let's see the pull request. So pull request, as we were telling, like this is also an interesting place. This is where the discussions around the proposed changes are happening. So you can think of PR as you are requesting the authors or the maintainers of a open source project, like I have made so and so changes. Can this changes go in? So it's kind of a request, and that's called that should be the way it's named as pull request. And here also you might find labels. So this label that says React core team, that means the pull request is actually coming from the core team, or like one of the core members is the author of this particular PR. And PRs also might have a template, and it depends upon what kind of fix or the change that you're trying to bring in. And here most of the time you will find references to other GitHub issues, or like issues in the issue tracker, even some PR also. And again, when it comes to raising a PR, it's really important you stick to the template if there is any. And as we see, like React is a pretty big project with a lot of people, millions of people trying to consume, and thousands of people trying to actively contribute. So most of the time it's not feasible to maintain the discussions over issue threads and PRs. So for that, they have something called RFCs. So RFC stands for request for pull request, and request for comments. And these are mostly discussions and proposals that can't fit in a PR or a issue tracker. And this is used to set the ground for upcoming changes. And these are like quite technically heavy documents, I would tell. So if you are a consumer, it's really okay and fair enough. Like you don't have to come here and read this. I just want to show around and let you know that these things exist. And it's not mandatory. Again, it's not mandatory for all the open source projects to have an RFC. And yeah, like diving a bit deep. So this is actually an RFC around use state handler. So I think this is a proposed tool that's going to come in near future. And over here, like the entire thing they have documented, like why actually they are introducing this, what code snippet they have added, and sometimes they even go deep somewhere to the architectural changes that they're going to make. So that's what like RFCs basically talk about. And if you see like this doesn't fit into a PR or a discussion thread, and as I mentioned, this is like highly technical heavy. Next thing is, apart from this, React also have a working group. So current React working group, it is mostly around React 18. So React 18 is the next major version of React yet to come. And there are like a lot of changes that we expect, are pretty fascinating changes to be frank. And because of that, I think that was the main intent. Like they tried to pull out the entire discussions and manage in a separate thread altogether. So that is what this React working group is for. And these are like mostly discussions and documentation changes. So something like that you can work on. And again, one thing what I want to bring up is like React is currently going a complete rewrite of their documentation. So say like if you're looking for getting started with some contributions, readily you can pitch in and start contributing. And this is a wonderful opportunity. So don't miss it. And React also have like few dedicated channels, and I think the biggest community channel is currently in Discord, and it has nearly lakhs or more active members. And people come over here for help, collaborating, discussions, and networking. And yeah, like get into it. So I've added the Discord link over here. So if you get a chance, like I would really advise you to join it and see what was happening in the community, and like try to connect with people. Definitely you're going to find a lot of amazing talents over there. So now actually we have seen what is an open source project and how one look like. Let's try to understand why open source matters. And if we see, like we have been hearing the entire thing around open source, why it's important, and this very Hacktoberfest thing. So what is it all about? So we saw that like we all are open source consumers, right? And when it comes to open source, the main and the key thing is freedom around something, freedom around the piece of project or the software that we consume or people write. The freedom basically it us mainly what would say it offers us with usage and distribution, and it in a way it is kind of improving the software that you rely on. Suppose so again coming back to this React example, one day fine day like you are using React and you found a bug and you were not able to find a solution right-handed, but you know the fix. And since React is open sourced, you have the all freedom just to go and fix that issue, and nobody gonna stop it. So if you find something like you are, nobody gonna stop you. You just need to get it merged. You are unblocked. So that is the power of open source at first place. And excuse me. And as I was mentioning, this is a great place. The community is a fantastic place to meet so many amazing talents. A greater way to learn. So actually, there is a saying, right? Good food brings family together. I would say open source bring good developers together. And in a community, and when you collaborate, right, like you learn things more, not only technical things, like you learn more than that. You are collaborating with total strangers, convincing them and like ideating things, participating in discussions and like organizing events, meetup, you learn a lot of people skills. And this is definitely something that you're never gonna earn when you are from a day job, because a day job will never give you this kind of exposure and this sort of learning. And trust me, this only happens within a community. And the bigger bonus is like so as candidates, so when you are appearing for an interview, definitely open source, you being an open source contributor, you guys a bigger plus, and you will always and definitely have an upper hand about over your counterparts. And if you see like all of the tech giants like Facebook, Microsoft, everybody have heavily invested on open source. So when we take Facebook, from Facebook, what we have like GraphQL, React, and Jest. From Google, we have V8, Angular, Dart, Flutter. Microsoft is maintaining TypeScript, VS Code, and Yarn Federation. So why this tech companies uh, should be investing a lot in open source? The key thing is like they are not building just for themselves. They're like it's just like building it for the world. So for example, if you find a typo in an open source library, again coming back to the React example, so if you find a typo in a React a documentation, and if you go and if you are fixing it, it's not like you are just fixing it for yourself, like you are fixing it for other 7.8 million people, or like everybody who gonna come and read the docs. So that is the power of open source. And trust me, this is not something that you're gonna get with some paid or proprietary software, because back in one of my past companies, we were actually using a paid software, and literally we were blocked for weeks because we were waiting for a few bug fixes and future enhancements, and this is going to take time. But open source is not like that. It's entirely a different game, and trust me, it's amazing. Yep. So now we will see how to be an active contributor, and when it comes to contribution, let's see what it is. So as a beginner, like it's really okay to think that contribution only means coding and bug fixing, but it is not the thing. So we have already seen how important documentation is when it comes to a open source project. And if you see any of the open source project, most of the contribution and the collaborations are happening on the documentation front. And take me for granted, that is also an open source contribution. So the silliest mistake that you are fixing on a document, or the silliest thing that you can ever do on an open source project can be or is counted as an open source contribution. And over this, like it can be like organizing events, meetups, writing tutorials, walkthrough, a lot. So that's what, like, try to be clear that open source contribution is not only about coding and bug fixing. It's more than that. Whatever you are doing in the community for that project, for that community, is counted as open source contribution. uh, oh, sorry, I forgot to open this. Yeah, these are the points that I was talking about. Now we will see like how to get started. So the first and foremost, you would need a project to contribute to. And finding a project, so there are basically two ways. One way is like you might have some passion and you might know a few libraries. So go to that repository, mostly it gotta be GitHub, and start reading the issue trackers and PR. So as we were seeing, right, this beginner friendly issues or like tickets are marked as good first issues. And if you, and all the issues and the things that want to be picked up could be understood from both this tabs, from issue trackers and PRs. But if you ask me, like, this is not so practical, because it's not practical to go to each repo and start reading their issue trackers and PRs. So don't worry, like we have a lot of open source resources, basically that help us to start with open source contribution and stay on the track, like GitHub Explorer, Code Triage, Upgrabs, and a lot. Again, I have linked everything, so later on you can come and check them, and definitely check them. And even before you contribute, like make sure the community is really active and they are they are actively requesting for changes or for open for contributions. Again, over here for this, you could use the PRs and the issue trackers, and from PRs readily you can understand like how quick the changes are getting merged and how far and how quick a resolution is being made. So now we know like how to find the project. Let's try to see like what is the next step. So the next step was like understanding the project. Again, this is a key when it comes to contribution. Definitely the documents gonna help, the README, the contribution MD, and the code of conduct. Understanding the project and the process is the key because it's gonna vary from project to project. And there are how to put it, yeah, like suppose you are contributing to something and it naming things, you should know that. And how you want to know that? Like you only know about it from the documents, and for that you should understand the project, how the entire community is operating, and what the project actually does. And if you are contributing back and there are certain conventions and rules that are set, and if your PR is not meeting them, there are fair chances that your PR might get rejected. And the community and the project as a whole, they want to enforce the standard because it makes the entire process easier. Because when it comes to review, right, if your PR have a certain format and it has all the context and the required information, it's much more easier for PR review as well as reference in future. So that's the main thing, like why do we have this convention and certain rules. So it's really important to know the project. Next thing is like ensure the effort is not getting duplicated, because today you went to a repository, you found an issue, something which is really good first issue, and you are really keen and you very well know how to fix it. But make sure like your effort is not getting duplicated. So that what I meant is like, what if suppose someone have already started, currently one PR or discussion is already going on. So try to convey and let people know in advance, okay, you would be going and trying to pick something, and like this is what you are planning to do. So this actually you can do by raising an issue ticket, And if that is a duplicate issue, like contributors, maintainers, or other owners, definitely they're going to come and mark it as a duplicate. So in that way, you make sure like your effort is not in vain. And try to keep the communication open, because as I told, since a lot of people are collaborating, everybody should DM sync, and never ever try to DM the authors or the maintainers. Try to keep it open, because it's open source, right? So things should be open at first place. Yeah. So the next thing is like, so this is the phase where actually you have made your change. You are raising the PR, basically like asking the maintainers and the authors whether your change is gonna go in or not. And at this particular stage, it's really important like sticking to the process. So if there is a process, make sure you stick to it. So as we saw, it can be templates. It can, some projects might ask you for screenshots, test coverage reports. So whatever they ask, like feel free to share it. And it makes, as I was telling, like it makes entire thing really easy. And for future self, like it's much more easy to refer to, because later on, like if you are referring for a thread down the line, like 2 years, 3 years after it, you will find all the required details in that same thread and the same PR or the same issue. So if there is a process, try to stick with it. And with this, like the theory part is kind of over. We are getting into the crux and the most important part of this entire session. Over here, like we will be trying to make a pull request to an open source project. So for this, I have created something. Again, it's not super fancy. I have open sourced it under MIT license, and I added this label Hacktoberfest. So if you are an active contributor to Hacktoberfest, and if you raise a PR, this is gonna get counted. And I have put a small UI to this too. Again, not super fancy. So yep. So since we have a MIT license, this is an open source project. Yeah, here we have our README. Basically, README explains like what is this repository about, this project is about, and like how you can get started. There is a contribution MD. So contribution MD like basically says like how actually someone can start contributing to, what are the steps. So the first thing is you have to fork this repository. So forking is basically you are creating a personal copy of this my repository, the repository under this organization Kodamagi, onto your personal GitHub. And for this, like you can, I'm not sure if you're able to see this. Use this button over here. So if you click on this, it will clone this entire thing. No, it's not clone. It's like copy this entire thing onto your personal GitHub ID. And now you might find something like this. So this will be replaced by your GitHub username. And it very well mentions like, okay, this is a fork from so and so library. And yep. So from here, like I might need a volunteer. So like I guess Lakshay gonna help with this. So from now on, yeah. So Lakshay will share a screen. I will try to walk him through how to get this thing done. And for time being, like I would advise you all just to see and understand like what we are doing. Later on, you can get onto this doc and try to replicate the same. So yeah, over to you, Lakshay. Like I'm gonna stop share.
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, yeah, election. Alexi, can you show me that cloning part, just that repository, like how you clone?
Okay, so like uh, type the line git clone, then my forked repo link. Just a sec.
Yeah. So this is like basically how you clone something into your local. So cloning means trying to bring a remote repository so that exists in your GitHub account or like someone else's GitHub account onto your local machine. And to do this, you should have Git installed and Git configured on your local. So that is the prerequisite to this step. So post cloning, the next thing is like we will see what README and contributing MD is. So yeah, like very well, like Shay have opened it. So as I mentioned, README basically explains what are the steps, what is this open source project is about, how you can use it. Can you scroll down a bit like towards the end? Yeah. So all the steps are very well mentioned over here. Yeah, like we can move to contributing MD election. So to contribute this project, the first thing that you have to do is you have to check out a branch. So you need to create a branch, and actually there is a convention around it. So it should start with PR followed by a forward slash, and that the GitHub user ID would be replaced to your personal GitHub ID. And yeah, like you can check out a branch. Yeah, so currently you are on main, and by default it would be main. Alexa, it is PR.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So now Lakshay is on his personal branch, and yeah, like you can. So as the contributing MD mentions, now you can go to contributors.md and add your GitHub ID over there. So this is actually a markdown, and as you can see, it's MD, and this would be shown as link in the MD file. Like once we merge the PRI, I'll show you. Cool. Yeah, that's it. You can save the file. Now we will try to commit these changes. Yeah, it's look good. So this is the commit message. So followed by -n. So this is gonna show when we actually merges PR. Yep, perfect. So now actually we have committed the change. So now this change is actually on your local. Now we need to get it onto the remote. So the next step would be git push. So push means like taking your change and just pushing it to the. So Lekshin, now look, can you show us your remote repo, your GitHub repo? So next phase is actually raising a PR. So let's say, yeah, you can click on that compare and pull request. Perfect. So here, if you see, now Lakshay is trying to raise a pull request from his personal fork clone to the main or the base repository that I have created and against the master branch. So yeah, Lakshay, yeah, like you can go and create it. Perfect. And actually, can you show that files changed? Like over here on your GitHub, on your GitHub. So this is how we see the change. Yeah, let's say from here I will show them like how to merge a PR now.
Sure, sure. Just a second.
Thanks, Lakshay. So I'm gonna share my screen. So yeah. So now Lakshay had actually raised a PR. So let's see. Who said that? Yeah, perfect. So here is the PR that was raised by Lakshay, and single history, and this is the change that he had made. So yeah, this looks good to me. And so basically I have like three options, and over here, since this is a single commit, it wouldn't matter. So I'll just merge it. So merging means like taking us changes, and yeah, we're basically merging it, like taking us change and telling him basically, okay, your changes looks good to me, it can go in. So yeah, confirming the merge. Perfect. Now if I come to my see the contributor, and yeah, here it is. So this is what like Lakshay had contributed. So Lakshay had today contributed to a open source library, and congrats Lakshay on that. So like you can also do the same. Okay, like everybody can do the same. As I mentioned, like I gonna share this doc. Every step is mentioned over here, and if you love it, definitely I would be happy like if you can start this first. I don't know. I'm not sure like whether this is Lakshay's first open source PR or not, but definitely yeah. Like we have raised first. We have made us one open source contribution, and that's what we were expecting from this entire talk. And I truly believe like now you are somewhat clear like what it is meant by open source, what makes a project open source, and why it is actually important, that sort of thing. As I told, like this is truly beginner friendly and simple, and I very well know that I was glozing over like a lot of things. And for further reference, like I have added the links over here. So once you have the doc, like feel free to go through it. And if you are like new to Git, this is a superb tutorial to get started with Git. And when it comes to open source, like something like that I want to share is like there are a lot of funny stories, funny as well as amazing. So if you know the project WordPress, I guess yeah, like most of you would have heard WordPress. So WordPress is a CMS. WordPress actually started as a fork for a project called B2, and B2 was an open source that time. And this happened, if I'm not wrong, in 2003. And authors of WordPress was Matt and someone else who starts with, again, the name starts with M. So like WordPress was a fork. When it comes to Webpack, right, the Webpack, the same bundler that we use, it also has a amazing backstory highly tied to this open source. So it was actually an issue request that was raised by the author of Webpack. As I can remember, his name is Sian Larkin, and he was trying to raise a PR to a open source project that time called WebMake, and basically he was trying to add code splitting. And I don't know like what happened. I have seen people open sourcing kitchen recipes, poems, and stories. So imagination is the limit over there. If you want to do, yeah, it's open source. Go out and do it. And yeah, that's it. And this is the end. Again, thanking you all for joining us, taking your time and making out on a beautiful Saturday. And thanks to the entire team, Lakshay, Nitya, Nirbhay, others, and other team of BVP CSI. And thanks for inviting me and having me here. Great shout out to the entire sponsors and team behind Hacktoberfest. It's a really amazing initiative, to be frank, and a lot of things are happening in the community. So I would really insist uh, everyone to go and check out and feel the heat over there. And yeah, GitHub for keeping everything free and open and being the heart of open source. And lastly, but not the least, a shout out to the to Notion and the team, the entire creators, everyone. The entire documentation, this thing that you see is created over Notion. So Notion is an open source project. It's a note making app which is really fun to use. It basically uses Markdown, and it gives you option to share it and publish your doc as a web URL. So that's pretty amazing. And yeah, like, thanks everyone. As I was mentioning, like, try to stay connected. My DMs are open. Always happy to talk about and hear what you are doing. And like, if I can be of any help, that makes me much more happier. My social media handlers, everything are linked over here. Definitely the team would be sharing you the talk with you guys. Yeah, I'm good from my end. And again, thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you so much, Shikha, for joining us and imparting your knowledge of open source to all the participants here. It was really an informative and hands-on experience, and I'm sure it was invaluable to all of us. If any of you has a question or something, you can post it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask directly. And all the important links have been posted in the chat box. Thank you so much for joining the BVPCI today.
Hi, Shihab.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, like I have a question. Yeah.
Sure.
Is there any other platform like Git to contribute?
Yeah, there is. So one is GitLab. And GitLab is also something similar to GitHub, and I think it's from Atlassian. But most of the contribution and this open source thing actually happen in GitHub.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think no questions here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Nitya Mukku, can we end this? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Shihab.
Okay. Thank you, Shihab. Yeah, yeah. Like we're very happy to have you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Okay. Bye. Have a good day.
Same. Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Bye.